Hey folks, welcome to the Peghead Nation Octave Mandolin class, the Octave Mandolin. And we're going to be checking out a bunch of tunes that you may have heard played on the Octave Mandolin and tunes that maybe you never have heard played on the Octave Mandolin. So there's going to be an aspect of learning tunes and songs from some of the great examples of people who play this instrument these days. Folks like Tim O'Brien, Sarah Jarosz, who is a master of playing the octave mandolin instrumentally and behind herself as a singer, Thiele, Sierra Hull, and you might have seen the great Darol Anger, the great fiddle player Darol Anger, playing the octave mandolin. He brings a really beautiful creativity to this instrument where he kind of treats it like an electric guitar, and actually he's one of the first early adapters of the octave mandolin. Way back in the early 80s, he had a F-style Gilchrist octave mandolin. So yeah, we're going to be checking out things that come from these great players, including tunes like The High Road, I think of that, or Hold to a Dream, or Old Smitty, or the Smoothie Song, stuff like this. But a huge aspect of octave mandolin playing in my life, and probably will be the same in yours, is about adapting things that don't come directly from the octave mandolin world. We're so often trying to play fiddle tunes, whether your background is as a mandolin player, a fiddle player, or possibly guitar player. So often we're trying to adapt something, and so part of that whole process is looking at what to leave out. Maybe it's something's a little athletic on the mandolin that's totally doable on the mandolin, but becomes maybe too athletic on this instrument. But I definitely believe you can adapt a melody, leave a melody note out here and there, change just a couple of notes to make something possible. Same is true with voicings, chord choices. So we're going to be adapting chords, and if you're coming from the mandolin, you certainly probably know the big mandolin chop chord, which is basically not doable on the octave mandolin. But that doesn't mean you can't think about it and then adapt notes from there. So that's part of it. Now, what does the octave mandolin do well? I think my favorite way to think about that is that there's no rigid, pre-established definition of what the octave mandolin is supposed to do. So it's wide open in a sense. Whereas if you play banjo in a bluegrass band, there's an expectation that you refer to Earl or Noam or Bela or Alison Brown or whomever. But with the octave mandolin, it really feels like it's ours to write the story of. And that really frees you up, I think, in a sense. So what it does well, and what you can draw from in creating your own definition of what you're going to do on the instrument, is it draws from the mandolin, of course, and the guitar. You can play a lot of things on the octave mandolin that you could play on the mandolin. So like eighth note melodies, take solos and such. And also you can draw from the guitar. So especially the way it functions in a band as an accompanist instrument. That feels like it owes more to the guitar, to me, than it does to the mandolin world, or at least the way the mandolin is played by many people in the mandolin world. So we're kind of drawing the best from the mandolin world and the best from the guitar world. Another aspect that feels inspired by the guitar world is the fact that we can have this beautiful sustain. So in that kind of situation, I really feel like maybe I'm channeling the spirit of the electric guitar. And what I mean by that is less notes, less is more, and the ability to have something that I play and it maybe hangs over for a measure or two. And that is transformative, that whole idea of, okay, I did something. Still ringing. Still ringing. And if I can get behind that spirit and think about things in that way, it really changes the way I play behind a singer or play as an accompanist, and it's really like a beautiful new aspect of how to use this instrument that's tuned in fifths. Speaking of this instrument, so yes, the octave mandolin class. What is an octave mandolin, and how is it different from a bouzouki or the other related instruments? And it's a pretty gray line, I think, between some of these instruments, and they don't even all look the same. This one, feels like it's a guitar body. It has a flat back. It's a great mandolin, octave mandolin from the Northfield folks. But you'll also find ones that are teardrop shaped, or like an A style. And as I mentioned, you even see some that had an F style shape once in a while. So these take a bunch of different shapes. But what we're talking about is a instrument that's tuned like a mandolin, G, D, A, E, but an octave lower. And the scale length here, I have a couple of these, and they're in like the 21-inch range. So you can find some that are longer and some that are shorter, but that's what this one is. Now, what is this course for? It's for people who who are coming from another instrument. It's not intended for people who have never played an instrument, because I think for most people the octave mandolin is a second or third instrument, coming perhaps from the mandolin or the fiddle world or the guitar world. So we're going to presume some familiarity with some musical concepts, and it's not really going to be an introduction to music type class. So if you're a total beginner, it may not be the class for you unless you're a total beginner with a willingness to work through things that might be a little faster than otherwise ideal. So as I alluded to earlier, the structure of the class is going to be a repertoire-based class. So it's not really going to be based on a lot of exercises or etudes. It's going to be using the idea of learning tunes from a variety of sources to accumulate familiarity and dexterity on the instrument. So tunes in different keys, tunes with different feels from different players, and over the course of X number of lessons, we'll gather a variety of techniques and approaches to the instrument. And if you're a mandolin player, one thing that's new, perhaps, is the whole concept of using capos, and that's another aspect of this that sort of opens up some new, beautiful possibilities. So I'm thinking about in the mandolin world, we rarely would ever put a capo on the mandolin. So playing an F meant learning the particular voicings and particular scales that are specific to that fingering on the neck. But on the mandolin, the octave mandolin that is, there's some beautiful possibilities using a capo. So some of the tunes we're going to check out are going to take advantage of that. So we're going to be drawing, of course, like I said, tunes from famous players and famous examples of what happens on the octave mandolin. But of course, we're also going to be adapting tunes that just seem to work well and might invite us to think about things in a different way or learn about the instrument in a different way.